You know what time it is? It's that end-of-year moment, and we are diving into one of the best parts, the movie lists.
Ah, yeah, looking back, it's always fun to see what the critics really thought stood out over the last 12 months.
Exactly. Which films really stuck with them. And for this deep dive, we've got some great source material. We're looking at the top 10 films of 2024 lists from 3 different reviewers over at Moviescramble.
Oh, nice. Who have we got?
We've got Thomas Simpson's list, Mary Munoz's top 10, and John McArthur's picks as well. And they all came out right at the end of December 2024, so proper year-end reflections.
Okay, 3 distinct takes. So what's the plan? What are we going to do with these?
Well, our mission, really, is to unpack these lists for you. We'll look at the films that popped up on more than one list.
The consensus picks, yeah.
Yeah, and also dig into the unique ones, the films only one reviewer championed. And importantly, pull out why they like them, the little details, the insights they shared about why these films mattered in 2024.
Gotcha. So it's a way to get a handle on the year's cinema through their eyes.
Precisely. So if you feel like you missed some key films, or you're just hunting for solid recommendations, or maybe you just want that quick, informed overview of what critics were buzzing about, this deep dive is definitely for you.
Kind of like a shortcut to the year's cinematic highlights, according to these 3 anyway.
Got it, your shortcut. Okay, let's unpack this then. Where should we start?
Well, maybe with some context, John McArthur actually provides some useful background in his piece. He notes that 2024, well, it didn't always feel like a massive year for cinema releases.
Interesting. Why is that?
He puts it down partly to, the ongoing pandemic effects, but maybe more significantly, the writers and actors' strikes from the year before. That pushed a lot of the big films back.
Ah, right, the strikes. Yeah, that makes sense. So less competition, maybe.
Kind of. He suggests it might have created a bit more space, an opportunity for maybe smaller films or just different kinds of films to get more attention than they otherwise would have.
Okay. And he also mentioned something about audience habits, like people waiting for streaming more.
Yeah, being maybe more selective about going to the cinema. So that whole context, it could definitely shape the kinds of films that end up on these year-end lists, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Less reliance on just the huge blockbusters, perhaps.
Right.
More variety.
Exactly. And looking across all 3 lists, there's one film that just screams that idea because it's on every single one.
Ooh, okay. Which one?
Corley Fargate's The Substance, the body horror film.
Wow. Okay. The Substance. Yeah, that one definitely made waves. So Thomas has it at number 7. Mary puts it right at number 1. And John also has it as his number 1.
Yeah, that's a pretty strong agreement, isn't it?
Seriously. So
Yeah.
what was it about that film?
Well, they all hit slightly different notes, but the core appeal seems really potent. Thomas mentions it being gloriously gory, but also having feminist commentary. And he shouts out Demi Moore's performance.
Okay. And Mary as her number 1.
She called it operatic and hyperbolic, saying it takes our obsession with youth to just, extreme levels. And she also praised, Moore calls it a career best performance.
And John, also number 1 for him.
He flat out says, the best film I have seen this year. He talks about its boldness, Moore's brave performance. He even describes a specific scene as horrific and spellbinding. Graphic stuff.
Wow. So it sounds like it wasn't just the shock value or the gore.
No, I think that's right. What's fascinating is how they all kind of circled around similar things. It was brave, it tackled big themes like beauty standards, bodily autonomy, but in this really extreme, fearless way. And that central performance from Demi Moore clearly anchored it for all of them.
Yeah, it hit a nerve, sounds like. Genre thrills, but with something significant to say.
Exactly. A major film for them, not just a major horror film.
Makes sense. Okay, so that was the big one. What other films saw some overlap? Any on 2 lists?
Yep, several. Abigail showed up twice. The vampire ballerina horror comedy.
Oh, yeah. I remember the buzz about the trailer maybe giving too much away.
Thomas actually mentions that, puts it at number 2. He says, despite the trailer, it was one of the most fun films of the year. Praised the cast, especially Alicia Weir as Abigail.
And who else had it?
John. He had it lower at number 8, but called it a genuine surprise. Said it totally beat his expectations. Like the premise execution, the kidnapping gone wrong, and mentioned a beautifully crafted build-up before...
Well, before the gore explosion.
Yeah. He guarantees you will not see a film with more blood this year. So for both of them, it seems like the surprise factor and just sheer entertainment value won them over.
Unexpected fun and lots of blood. Got it. Okay, what else? How about Heretic? That was on 2 as well, wasn't it?
It was. Thomas had it at number 9. John ranked it much higher at number 2.
And the big talking point there was Hugh Grant.
Oh, absolutely. Both reviewers were totally captivated. Thomas talks about Grant dialing up the creepiness as this antagonistic atheist guy, calls it a masterclass in tension.
Right. He pushed back against the comeback idea, though.
Yeah, he made a point of saying Grant's been doing strong work recently anyway. But John, he dedicates a huge chunk of his review to Grant, calls the performance superb, essential.
How did he describe it?
Paints this picture of Grant being creepy but also somehow benign, with over large glasses, just oozing intelligence and evil. He loved the movie itself, too, called it highest quality, despite a likely limited budget.
So for Heretic, the consensus seems to be super tense, really well made, but elevated mainly by that Hugh Grant performance.
Pretty much. A chilling, standout role that really impressed them.
Okay. One more that hit two lists, right? Late Night with the Devil.
Yep. Thomas at number 3, John at number 5. The found footage one set during a live TV show.
Found footage can be tricky. What did they like here?
Well, Thomas thought it was refreshing to see a strong one in that subgenre, which often gets, a bad rap. He highlighted David Dastmalchian's performance and the cool backstory the directors created.
And John, was he a fan of found footage going in?
Actually, no. He admits he went in expecting not to like it, thought the whole concept was tired.
But it won him over.
Completely. Call it something special. He loved the unique structure, how it blended the live broadcast feel with the behind-the-scenes stuff during ad breaks. Said it built tension really subtly, but, relentlessly.
Huh. So it sounds like they both felt it used the found footage style cleverly, not just as a gimmick.
Exactly. Innovating within the format to actually boost the tension and the story. Pretty cool when that happens.
Definitely. Okay, so those were the films with some crossover. But, the really interesting stuff often comes from the picks that only showed up on one list. Gives you a real sense of individual taste.
For sure. Those unique picks often highlight something specific that resonated with just one critic. Should we look at Thomas Simpson's unique ones first?
Yeah, let's do Thomas. What did he champion on his own?
Well, he had a couple of interesting dramatic picks. At number 10, A Different Man.
Ah, the one with Sebastian Stan and Adam Pearson, black comedy.
That's the one. Thomas saw it as this scathing yet comical critique of beauty standards. He really praised Adam Pearson, saying he had genuine warmth and great chemistry with Stan, made a point about Hollywood not needing conventional looks for compelling acting.
Interesting point. What else was unique to Thomas?
The Iron Claw at number 8, the Von Erich wrestling family tragedy.
Oh, right. That sounded intense.
Thomas called it grim, definitely, but highlighted powerful yet understated performances, especially from Zac Efron and Holt McCallany. He noted it wasn't maybe a big awards film, but it clearly left a strong impact on him.
And his number 1. That was unique to him too, right?
It was Alex Garland's Civil War.
Controversial one. What was his take?
He called it an unflinching glimpse into an all-too-possible future, focused on how it showed the perspective of war journalists and civilians not taking political sides.
So objective.
Yeah, he felt it was cold, objective, argued the real casualty was patriotism, said it was designed to make you uncomfortable, a masterfully dystopian nightmare, plus a career best from Kirsten Dunst, in his view.
Okay, so Thomas's unique picks kind of lean towards thought-provoking drama, intense stories, social commentary, real-life tragedy, dystopia, heavy stuff, but impactful.
Definitely. Now, Mary Munoz's list. Her unique picks are wonderfully diverse, a real mix.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Okay, so at number 10, she has Four Little Adults. It's a Finnish comedy about polyamory.
Wow. Okay. That sounds different.
Mary found it achingly polite and convincingly emotional. Said the leads were frustrating but also empathetic, like a gentle character study.
Intriguing. What else?
At number 9, The Teacher. This one's set in the West Bank.
Right. Timely.
Mary described it as a devastating watch, focused on a character feeling this horrible, cloying feeling of powerlessness because of outside forces. Sounds like it packed a real emotional punch.
Definitely sounds heavier. Did she have any unique horror picks?
Yes. Interestingly, she included The First Omen at number 6.
The prequel.
Yeah. She singled it out for its commentary on women and their bodily autonomy and its strikingly haunting visuals, said you didn't need to know the original series, called it a brilliant example of what horror did well in 2024. Seems she values horror with strong thematic depth.
That's cool. Anything else unexpected?
Totally. A documentary. The Home Game at number 4.
A doc. About what?
It's an Icelandic underdog sports story. A football team. Mary just found it uplifting, inspiring, and unexpectedly emotional. Capturing that team spirit thing, Definitely a unique choice for a top 10 film list.
Yeah, you don't see dogs on these lists too often. What was her most unusual pick, you think?
Oh, probably the Vordelak at number
Okay,
3.
Vordelak. What on earth is that?
Get this. It's described as an unusual vampire story shot on 16mm film with a puppet as the central vampire figure.
A puppet vampire. Seriously.
Seriously, Mary called it beautifully absurd and dreamlike, a creepy slow burn that keeps you entirely on edge, even with the puppet. Now that is pushing genre boundaries.
Wow. Okay, Mary's list is wild. And what was her number 2?
Also unique. Yep. The Holdovers.
The Paul Giamatti one. That came out quite early in the year, didn't it?
It did. Mary predicts it'll become a Christmas classic. She loved the endearing Giamatti and praised Dominic Sessa and Divine Joy Randolph just as much. Called it the kind of film that's willing to break your heart and piece it back together again.
Ah, sounds lovely. So Mary's unique picks are all over the map. Finnish comedy, West Bank drama, prequel horror, Icelandic doc, puppet vampire, heartfelt Christmas movie.
Exactly. It really shows a critic looking for, diverse experiences and maybe deeper themes regardless of the genre. Really fascinating range.
Definitely. Okay, last but not least, John McArthur. What unique flavors did his list bring?
John's list had its own distinct feel, too, a mix of maybe bigger scale stuff and more intimate drama. At number 10, he had Pedro Almodovar's first big English language film, The Room Next Door.
Oh, right, with Tilda Swinton and Julianne Moore. How is Almodovar in English, according to John?
John admitted he was initially curious, maybe a bit skeptical, but he found it a beautiful study of female friendship, aging, illness, even assisted suicide. He noted it's mostly driven by conversations between Swinton and Moore. A real close-up kind of film.
Sounds intense. What else?
Number 9 was Love Lies Bleeding.
The Kristen Stewart neo-noir thriller.
That's the one. John called it a terrific thriller, set in that kind of rundown gym world, bodybuilding, corruption, family drama.
Gritty stuff.
Yeah, he described it as seedy, sexy, intriguing, always hinting at violence. And he made a funny note about Ed Harris having spectacular hair in it.
Huh, okay. What was next?
At number 7, he highlighted Conclave, the drama about electing a new pope.
Mid-budget drama doing well. It's good to see.
John definitely thought so. Saw it as a really welcome sign for that kind of cinema. Called it a superb piece of cinema that creates intrigue, mostly just through conversations between, old men in rooms.
Dialogue-driven.
Totally. And he specifically shouted out Ralph Fiennes, saying it was one of the best performances of his career. John seems to appreciate that well-crafted adult drama.
Seems like it. Did he have any bigger genre stuff that was unique to him?
Yep. At number 6, Alien. Romulus.
Ah, the return to the alien universe. Did he think it worked?
He did. He felt it really revitalized the franchise by cleverly setting it between the first 2 classic films. Praised the world building, the team dynamics, inventive set pieces, strong performances. He felt it was way more than just a standard sequel and actually left him wanting more.
High praise for a franchise entry these days. And his number 3, also unique.
Yes. Dune Part 2.
Okay, the big one.
For John, this was one of those rare times where splitting a book into 2 films actually felt completely justified because the story is just so complex.
Yeah, it's dense.
He liked that it didn't do a big recap at the start, saw it as a sign of Villeneuve's confidence and control. He basically called it a total success, blending the huge landscapes, the political maneuvering, the love story, the epic fights. Said it delivered on massive expectations with a great cast.
So John's list. It appreciates those intimate, talky dramas like Room Next Door and Conclave, but also big, well-executing genre films like Alien and Dune. Kind of reflects that balance you mentioned about the year, maybe.
Well, I think so, yeah. An appreciation for both ends of the spectrum when they're done well.
So looking across all 3 lists now, wow. It's clear that 2024, despite maybe fewer blockbusters because of the strikes and stuff, it still offered a really diverse bunch of films, didn't it?
It really did. You had that bold horror, like The Substance, that just cut across all 3 critics.
Right. Everyone agreed on that one.
But then you also had intimate character pieces, tense thrillers, total genre surprises like Abigail or Vordelak, documentaries, and even big sci-fi spectacles that still really impressed.
This deep dive, it's really given, hopefully, you listening, a curated look at some definite highlights, according to these reviewers anyway. Shows where they agreed, but also where their individual tastes really shone through.
It's a great starting point if you're thinking, okay, what did I miss last year?
Exactly. So think about the films we've just run through, that intense body horror, the fun vampire flick, Hugh Grant being super creepy, the Stark Civil War, Mary's puppet vampire movie, or the Holdovers maybe being a new Christmas classic. Which ones sound most interesting to you based on what these critics highlighted?
And, if we connect this to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
it's fascinating to consider the trends these lists might suggest. What's really striking is the strength of horror, right? It showed up prominently on all three lists.
Yeah, it's true. Horror had a good year, critically speaking.
And there's that whole discussion John brought up about cinema versus streaming, the strike impact maybe opening doors. It kind of raises a bigger question, doesn't it? Well, what does this kind of varied landscape where really bold, maybe even extreme genre films like The Substance got top marks alongside thoughtful dramas and big spectacles. What does that suggest about where filmmaking is heading? And maybe how we, the audience, are going watch and experience movies in the future?